So this newest form of leverage is where all the new fortunes are made. So all the new billionaires. So the last generation fortunes were made by capital. That was the Warren Buffetts of the world. But the new generation fortunes are all made through code or media. The most interesting and the most important form of leverage is this idea of products that have no marginal cost of replication. This is the new form of leverage. This was only invented in the last few hundred years. It got started with the printing press. It accelerated broadcast media, and now it's really blown up with the internet and with code. So now you can multiply your efforts without having to involve other humans and without needing money from other humans. This podcast is a form of leverage. Long ago, I would have had to sit in a lecture hall and lecture each of you personally, and I would have maybe reached a few hundred people, and that would have been that. 30 years ago, I would have to be lucky to get on TV, which is somebody else's leverage. They would have distorted the message. They would have taken the economics out of it or charged me for it. They would have muddled the message, and I would have been lucky to get that form of leverage. But today, thanks to the internet, I can buy a cheap microphone, hook it up to a laptop or an iPad, and there you are, all listening. So this newest form of leverage is where all the new fortunes are made. So all the new billionaires. So the last generation fortunes were made by capital. That was the Warren Buffetts of the world. But the new generation fortunes are all made through code or media. Joe Rogan making 50 to 100 million bucks a year from his podcasts. PewDiePie. I don't know how much money he's rolling in, but he's bigger than the news, right? The Fortnite players. Of course, Jeff Bezos and Mark Zuckerberg and Larry Page and Sergey Brin and Bill Gates and Steve Jobs. That is all code-based leverage. Now, the beauty is when you combine all of these three. That's where tech startups really excel, where you take just the minimum but highest output labor that you can get, which are engineers and designers, product developers, and then you add in capital. You use that for marketing, advertising, scaling, and you add in lots of code and media and podcasts and content to get it all out there. That is a magic combination. And that's why you see technology startups explode out of nowhere, use massive leverage, and just make huge outsized returns.
Do you want to talk a little bit about permissioned versus permissionless?
Probably the most interesting thing to keep in mind about the new forms of leverage is they are permissionless. They don't require somebody else's permission for you to use them or succeed. For labor leverage, somebody has to decide to follow you. For capital leverage, somebody has to give you money to invest or to turn into a product. But coding, writing books, recording podcasts, tweeting, YouTubing, these kinds of things, these are permissionless. You don't need anyone's permission to do them. And that's why they're very egalitarian. They're great equalizers of leverage. And as much as people may rail on Facebook and YouTube, they're not going to stop using it because this permissionless leverage where everyone can be a broadcaster is just too good. The same way, you can rail upon Apple for having a slightly closed ecosystem in the iPhone, but everyone's writing apps for it. And so as long as you can write apps for it, you can get rich or reach users doing that, why not? I think of all the forms of leverage, the best one in modern society, and people are going to, this is glib, this is a little overused, and this is why I tell people learn to code, right? It's that we have this idea that in the future, there's going to be these robots and they're going to be doing everything. And that may be true, but I would say the majority of the robot revolution has already happened. The robots are already here, and there are way more robots than there are humans. It's just that we pack them in data centers for heat and efficiency reasons. We put them in servers. They're inside the computers, all the circuits. It's the robot mind inside that's doing all the work. And so every great software developer, for example, now has an army of robots working for him at nighttime while he or she sleeps after they've written the code, and it's just cranking away. So the robots army is already here. The robot revolution has already happened. We're about halfway through it. We're just adding in much more of the hardware component these days. As we get more familiar, we get more comfortable with the idea of autonomous vehicles and autonomous airplanes and autonomous ships and maybe autonomous trucks and, there's delivery bots and Boston Dynamics robots and all that. But robots who are doing web searching for you, for example, are already here. The ones who are like cleaning up your video and audio and transmitting it around the world are already here. The ones who are answering many customer service queries, things that you would have had to call a human for, are already here. So an army of robots is already here. It's very cheaply available. And the bottleneck is just figuring out intelligent and interesting things to do to them. And essentially, you can order this army of robots around. Just the commands have to be issued in a computer language, in the language that they understand. So these robots aren't very smart. They have to be told very precisely what to do and how to do it. So coding is such a great superpower because now you can speak the language of the robot armies and you can tell them what to do.
Most of my growth came actually after I graduated high school. Basically, what I did was I somehow found these other like 4 lunatics. 3 of us were college dropouts. One was a high school dropout, and one, I don't know, he just like quit his job. We were all super small YouTubers, and we basically talked every day for 1,000 days in a row and did nothing but just like hyper study, like what makes a good video, what makes a good thumbnail, what's good pacing, like how to go viral. And we just call it like daily masterminds. We would just get on Skype every morning. And like some days, like I'd get on Skype at 7 a.m. and I'd be in the call until like 10 p.m. And then I'd go to bed, I'd wake up and I'd do it again. And, we'd do things like just take 1,000 thumbnails and see if like there's a correlation to the brightness of the thumbnail to how many views it got. Or like, like videos that get over 10 million views is like, how often do they cut the camera angles or like things like that?
Really? So you microanalyzed
everything.
Really?
Yeah. Just, for like, we were very religious about it. And so that's where most of my knowledge came from, is I just surround myself with these lunatics and just every day, like we didn't do anything. We had no life.
But everybody had sort of a similar vision.
Yeah, exactly. And so we all had like 10, 20,000 subscribers when we met. And by the time we stopped talking, we all had millions of subscribers. And we all hit 1 million subscribers like within a month. It's crazy. Because it's like, if you envision a world where you're trying to be great at something and it's just like you learning and fucking up and then learning from your mistakes. Also, my mom told me not to curse. Sorry, Mom. If someone could just like edit out the swear words and give it to me.
Sorry, Mom.
Yeah, so I could give it to my mom to listen to. That would be great. But like, you mess up, you learn from your mistake, you mess up, you learn from your mistake. You in 2 years, might have learned from 20 mistakes. Or if you have like 4 other people who are also messing up, and when they learn from the mistake, they teach you what they learn, stuff like that. Hypothetically, you 2 years down the road have learned like 5 times more of the amount of stuff. So it just like helps you grow exponentially way quicker, if that makes any sense.
It does. It does.
How do you think the money is best spent for the channel in terms of growth?
Yes. Okay. How do I think it's best spent? Just making the best YouTube videos possible. I mean, if we want to sell more Feastables bars or merch or get better brand deals, it all literally just stems around, people watching the videos, which is...
Does that go back then to more idea creation, or do you think it's higher retention, so better specialists, or I guess
it's
more
not
involved?
That kind of stuff.
Okay.
It's more like those things help, but it's not like at the end of the day, like it's like we put 100 girls in a circle versus 100 boys, $500,000 cash prize, build these crazy sets, all the effort. That's a big part of why it does well, right? Sure, we can tweak a little bit here and there and remove a pee joke so it's a little bit more watchable and do this little thing. But at the end of the day, it's like, that's not why people are coming back, and that's not what makes it great. That's just a little icing on top. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like the money is best spent in like just doing grander things that I find interesting, that are unique, original, and like people just, how I would put it, can't find anywhere else. So you can't find what we do, for the most part. Some videos here and there, but for the most part, you can't find what we do anywhere else, not at the scale we do. And I think it's like, that is where I want to put the money in, because then that's what gets people coming back, they enjoy it, and then everything else benefits.
Yeah. Are you investing any of your own money separate from everything else? Like, do you take any of it for yourself, put it off to the side, and invest it?
I reinvest everything. I want to just, literally all I want to do is make the best videos possible.
Yeah.
That's why I live in the studio right over there. So I don't, like, I'm not worried about paying for a mansion. I don't drive a Lamborghini. I purposely have a really like dumbed down lifestyle. So because it gives you freedom. Like, most people can't reinvest in a business because when they get to this level, they're worried about their $10 million mansion. They're like 4 or 5 cars and insurance and keeping up with that. And then like their second home and all these other things. I just cut it all out. I have no like personal debt or things, that I have to pay for. So I can just go all in on the business, because it's like, it doesn't even matter. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Can you talk about maybe investing in NFTs or crypto if you want to talk about that?
Literally all I do is I invest in my videos right now. So I actually don't even do any investing on the side. Back in the day, I bought a little bit of Bitcoin. And did pretty good, but then I ended up just dumping it back into the videos. So
you're at the top, and you're the guy who's calling the shots, and it's your channel. But it seems like you've got a whole ecosystem under you.
Of course.
And you're fucking 23 years old. I mean, that's wild shit to be managing all that.
I could step away, and those guys could create just the most viral videos ever. We have a machine. These people are geniuses. I mean, I lucked out with quite a few of them. They're really intelligent.
The way you put them together was just finding people that you thought were interesting. I mean, how long did it take to develop a 100-employee roster?
Yeah, well, not all 100 are on the main channel, right? Because like we have the gaming channel, which probably has like 24 people. Like on our gaming channel, we have like 4 or 5 people that like their full-time job is just to build the maps. Like everything we do in Minecraft, we custom build and we custom code stuff. And then we have a dozen people that work on a React channel. The main channel, I don't know where we're at, but it's probably like half of it. And I don't know. They're just like the people. They just come from everywhere. You know? I don't even know how to explain it because it's like I basically just hired one person a month every month for like the last 5 years, essentially.
Wow. You're in the middle of all of this, and you have all this stuff going on, whether it's the social media stuff and the filming stuff and the coming up with the new content and new ideas, and then managing the fact that you have 100 fucking people.
Well, we haven't even gotten into the side companies or the side channels either. Yeah.
No, the Beast Burgers and all that jazz.
Yeah.
Wait, first of all, where's MrBeast Burger? How many of them do you have?
So right now we don't have any physical. We have 1,600 virtual restaurants.
Oh, so you order it online and then they deliver it?
Yeah. So like, let's say you own a mom and pop restaurant. You literally just sign up, go through the course. You learn how to make all the stuff on a menu, and you just order our ingredients and our packaging, and then you just flick it on Uber Eats, DoorDash, Grubhub, and you can start taking orders, and we let you keep a majority of the revenue. So it's basically like it's a win-win for restaurants, especially when COVID first hit. It was like huge for a lot of restaurants because I was pushing it really hard back then, and like some restaurants, you were literally laying off people, and then they started serving Beast Burger, and some of them doing like 10 grand a week. Not like in total revenue, so whatever, their cut was lower, but it allowed them to not have to like lay off part of their workforce or keep their employees and stuff like that. And so yeah.
And this idea came out of what?
We were approached by some company, and the more I thought about it, the more I just realized it was just a great idea. So we have a partner, basically a guy who's been doing restaurants his whole life. So actually that's how we started because he owned 300 restaurants. So we launched with his 300 restaurants. And like that first day, they all sold out. They were having to like run to local stores to buy ingredients to keep up with orders. Like the Uber Eats like delivery lines were like out the door. It was pretty bad. So we had to like quickly expand up, and we've just been adding like 50 restaurants a week ever since.
Wow.
Yeah, and so now we're about to
amazing.
start doing our first physical restaurants as well, and that should be fun.
Your mom must be so baffled. A kid she thought wasn't doing jack shit in school. Now he's creating virtual restaurants.
Yeah.
It's incredible, man.
It's actually insane. And so we've been doing it for like probably like 15 months now, and we're about to cross 100 million in top line revenue across the restaurants.
Wow.
Yeah.
So that's one side business. What other side businesses do you have?
So we just launched our snack brand. Just our first thing is a chocolate bar. It's just basically like only 4 ingredients, just a slightly healthier version of a chocolate bar. Problem is if you make things too healthy, which is what I've found with my restaurant, because I would love to wean people off like super unhealthy stuff. But if you like, we did lettuce wrap, like where you just replace the bun with lettuce, no one orders it. If you go like too extreme on the healthy side, just no one cares. So it's like I found like the best spot is just to make things like 20% healthier, and then people still order it. If not, then it's just useless. So I wanted to do a snack brand, and I'm experimenting with that. So it's just basically a slightly better for you chocolate bar, just higher quality ingredients, a little bit less ingredients.
And what do you put in it?
Well, you can just pull it up.
There it is, MrBeast Bar.
I mean, like I said, it's not crazy healthy, but
it's got quinoa on it. Yuck.
I love that one. I have some out there. I'll have you taste test that. I think
I'm sure it's good. Quinoa mixed with chocolate. Hey, bro, they put chocolate on ants and people eat it. You know, I mean, everything with chocolate is good.
Well, and so our big marketing stunt for this, because everything I do, it's gotta have it be a spectacle. Is 10 random people are gonna get flown down to compete for a chocolate factory in a video. And yeah, so we're still working on building the chocolate factory. That's what I was doing yesterday before I flew out here.
Fortunes require leverage. Business leverage comes from capital, people, and products with no marginal cost of replication, code, and media. Apply specific knowledge with leverage, and eventually you will get what you deserve. Naval Ravikant. To watch the video on specific knowledge, click on the link at the top right corner. The cool thing about leverage is that it fundamentally distorts this relationship between your input and the output that you get. The relationship becomes non-linear in nature, and your input, once it's done, is detached from the output, because it is detached from the marginal delivery of your product service every time that a customer or viewer consumes it. Using leverage, you might work on some project for 1 day or 1 year, and that can potentially bring an output that people without leverage couldn't get in 10 years or a lifetime. This is why you cannot get rich renting out your time. You must own something, run it on a form or forms of leverage, and apply your specific knowledge. Forget rich versus poor, white collar versus blue. It's now leverage versus unleverage. Naval Ravikant. Now I want to share some quotes that always help me when doing any big personal project. The pessimist may sound intelligent, but it's the optimist who makes money. Peter Lynch. After a lifetime of making money and observing better men and women than I fall by the wayside, I'm convinced that fear of failing in the eyes of the world is the single biggest impediment to amassing wealth. Trust me on this. Felix Dennis. The need for certainty is the greatest disease the mind faces. Robert Greene. Most people will choose unhappiness over uncertainty. Tim Ferriss. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the notes, reflections, and quotes in this video, you will likely also find valuable our newsletter, Fresh Nuggets, where you can receive in your email all my notes and thoughts every time I upload a new video. It is free forever and it's super easy to sign up. And if you don't find it valuable, it's also super easy to unsubscribe from it. So if you want to check it out and maybe have a look at my previous articles, please find the link below in the description.